Hello. Hi, everybody. Now we are transmitting from Global Studies. I am Hugo Bustamante. I am working for Global Studies, and this afternoon we're going to talk about Glasgow Caledonian University. We have two persons that will help us with this. We will be with Helen Hollingworth. She's a recruitment director, direct entry. And we will be with Stephanie Torres. She's regional manager from South America. And they will be with us talking us about postgraduate programs at Glasgow Caledonian University. I would like to introduce Helen.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Helen. How is everything over there?
Doing well, thank you. We're surviving, waiting for news of what the next move will be by the government, but I think so far so good.
Okay. Helen, everybody is ready to listen to you about Glasgow Caledonian University and its programs. Could you please tell us about it?
Of course. So let me just see if I can get my screen to share with everybody, and hopefully you will be able to see what I can see. So welcome this evening to tonight's session, or tonight for me, possibly this afternoon for yourselves. And tonight we will be discussing Glasgow Caledonian University and the opportunities that we have available for you in terms of postgraduate study options. So what I wanted to do to begin with is just to introduce you to the university. And on the front of the slide here, you're seeing the sort of the university crest. And what you'll notice is Glasgow Caledonian is known as the University for the Common Weal, or for the common good. So everything that we will be talking about in relation to the university is underpinned by the university's kind of ambition to serve a common good, whether that's to be serving a local community, whether it's to be helping to advance healthcare. So there are a number of programs that we'll be talking about this evening that, if you have kind of a social entrepreneurship, perhaps a social commitment, these are great degree programs for you. So just to introduce you, we are Glasgow Caledonian University. We are primarily located in Scotland, but I will introduce you to our other locations as well. So what you have on the screen here are just some images of Scotland, and this is maybe what you might know about or what you might envision when you think of the Scottish Highlands. So actually over to the far right-hand side of the screen, you have a picture of sort of the Scottish mountains. Scotland is obviously very known in the United Kingdom for its nature and its travel. To the second picture in, you have the beautiful railway line that runs all the way up from London and takes you through some of the most scenic routes in the UK. But Glasgow is also a city of culture and a city of industry. So on the far left of the screen, you have images from one of Glasgow's many museums and art galleries. And in the centre, you actually have a picture of the city of Glasgow itself. So it is a metropolitan city based upon the water. So there is a lot of industry actually within the city itself, as well as in Scotland, between both Glasgow and Edinburgh, and then also heading back down into England in terms of its connections to London and other larger cities within the kind of the UK. So just to give you an idea about Glasgow, it is the fourth biggest city in the UK, the second largest shopping city, and it has 2 international airports. So students can fly in from a number of different locations, particularly around Europe, but there are also flights that come in from places like the US and also throughout places sort of like Dubai, for example, if you were to study here and want to travel when you're a student. Glasgow is said to be one of the friendliest cities in the United Kingdom. And a lot of our students do report it's a city where you can walk around and people will smile. You can stop and ask people for directions. So it has a very sort of homely and welcoming feel about it. Glasgow has hosted the Commonwealth Games, so that was in 2014, and the European Games in 2018. So sports is a very important part of the city, and there are a number of football teams that obviously play out of Glasgow, but it's also something that kind of intrinsically is linked to the culture of the city. And Glasgow is also voted as one of Europe's city of culture. So it hosts many sort of art galleries, museums, and it's very big on the live music scene. So actually we have a claim to fame here that the band Oasis were discovered playing in one of Glasgow's smaller music venues. Obviously, as we saw in the previous slide, you are surrounded by the beautiful lochs, so that's what you would call a lake if you were up in Scotland, mountains and the coast. So if you're looking for a city that gives you pretty much everything that you need in terms of links to international travel, opportunities to shop, opportunities to engage in arts and culture, but also you're within short distance of places that you can go and spend time outdoors, Glasgow is really a perfect location for you in terms of a study destination. There are 4 different universities based within the city of Glasgow itself, so it is a very student-friendly city, and the student population takes it to about 130,000 during term time. Obviously, that is in a normal year. Perhaps that will be a little bit lesser during the next couple of intakes, but obviously it is a very student-friendly city. In terms of GCU in Scotland, so the reason I'm saying in Scotland is because later on in the presentation, I'll introduce you to the second campus that we have. So just looking at where we're located, on the left-hand side of the screen there, you have a little map of the United Kingdom. So Glasgow is up in obviously Scotland, just above what we would consider England, which is where you're seeing sort of Newcastle on the map there. It is about an hour's drive from Edinburgh, and it's over to the west coast of Scotland. You can see a couple of images of the campus here. So it's a very modern campus, and a lot of what we teach is, as we said, linked to the common good, but also linked to industries. So we aim to provide academic programs that really have an industry or career ready focus. As you can see from the right-hand side of the screen, we are very much based within the city centre. So we are an urban campus, but we are still a single-site campus. So what you sometimes find with urban campuses, it's a series of buildings that you have to commute in between. The great thing about GCU is that you get that campus feel, but you are in the heart of the city. So if you wanted to walk to the theatre district, the concert district, you wanted to walk to Buchanan bus station, where you can take the bus, believe it or not, all the way down to London, but particularly around the local area. Or if you wanted to travel from Queen Street Station, which is where you can catch the train actually down into London or other parts of the United Kingdom, as well as across the rest of Scotland. This is all within about 15 minutes walk of where we are located. It's also a city that is welcoming to students in terms of off-campus accommodation options. So we do know that particularly if you're coming for a graduate degree, you might want to find your own accommodation, be that because you're traveling with family, or be that because you don't want to necessarily be living on campus with students of a different age. So there are a number of private rental opportunities available within the city itself, and there's a little bit more information about accommodation as we get further into the presentation. Just to give you an idea of the university size, we are about 20,000 students across all of our campuses. We're about 11:1 student to faculty ratio, and we are 12% plus minus international. So our average statistics of international students are around 12% of our student body. We represent 100 different countries across our 3 campuses, and I'll be talking to you about all 3 of those as we get further through the slides. In terms of what we have to offer you as a student, one of the biggest things that we can talk to you about is graduate employability. So 97% of our graduates go into work or further study, and those statistics are usually taken 6 months after graduation. And we have a number of opportunities for things like internship and networking. And what you will notice is that over 1/4 of our master's programs have integrated work placements, and over 70 professional and career orientated master's courses are available to you. We have a number of programs that are ranked within the top 10 within the United Kingdom. And as we said, for the common good is a theme that runs through everything we do. So as I start to spotlight some of the master's degree courses, you will see how they link back to this kind of theme or motto of the university, but also how we are linking our education to professional and career-oriented outcomes. That's something that I would strongly advise that you consider, particularly if you're looking at a master's program in the United Kingdom. Our standard master's program is just 1 year in length. That is 12 months. So you do have a limited time within the United Kingdom to make those connections to industry, but also to make the most of those opportunities whilst you are studying. So I would certainly suggest that you would be asking questions about career orientation, but also your ability to engage in work placement opportunities. And I will introduce to you a couple of our master's programs where we have actually developed a 2-year option, which offers a full year of work placement as part of the academic provision. So some more images of the campus here. The building that you're actually looking at is the student library. It was named after Sir Alex Ferguson. So anybody who follows football or soccer in the UK, Sir Alex Ferguson is the previous manager of Manchester United Football Club. And he is actually Scottish. He's from Glasgow himself. He is a big donor to the university. So this is his library based on the university campus. In terms of the schools of study, we have 3 major schools of study at GCU that we'll be talking to you about in more detail. So we have the Glasgow School for Business and Society, and that houses a number of our programs, including our business, but also a number of our fashion programs. We have the School for Computing Engineering and Built Environment, and then the School of Health and Life Sciences. Although these are 3 separate faculties within the university, again, in order to link students to career opportunities, but also to demonstrate the necessity for skills that are interdisciplinary, so skills that serve across various different functions of a career or of a job. A lot of our programs will link different subjects together. So, for example, we see very strong connections between our School of Health and Life Sciences and also our School of Business. So there are strong connections between our schools and disciplines, meaning that even if you are entering one, you will have the chance to engage in other areas of the university. Just to give you an idea of some of our specializations in terms of rankings, you have some of those key rankings up on the screen there. Now, these rankings will usually be given in 2 contexts. The first is in a UK context and the second is in a Scotland context. They are taken from the same rankings, but it just gives you an idea about the national comparison versus the more local geographical comparison. So you'll see we're very strong for medical technology, 11th in the United Kingdom and actually 2nd in Scotland for physiotherapy. Strong rankings to be able to offer building in terms of building. So that's things like civil and structural engineering. Also a strong reputation in country planning and landscape design, as well as strong in general engineering programs. In terms of some of the things that I wanted to point out, the accreditation for physiotherapy, that's quite unique within the United Kingdom. And one of the things that we're able to offer at GCU is the physiotherapy clinic, meaning that any student who needs to complete a placement, so working experience with real patients as part of their degree program, can actually do that on campus in our own clinic. And that really helps students to be placed when we do have some restrictions for NHS funding, for example. GCU is also home to the Scottish Ambulance Service. So anyone that works on an ambulance within Scotland is actually trained on the GCU's campus. And our medical facilities are so realistic that a number of film and television dramas are actually set within the university's facilities when there's a need for those soap operas or dramas to simulate a hospital setting. So they're so realistic. A lot of filming actually happens on campus when we need to have people based in a hospital, where obviously it's not practical to have them in a working hospital itself. So just to give you a kind of an idea of what's covered within all of our schools of study. So within the business and society school, this is where you will see things like accounting, finance and management, events, hospitality and tourism. And we do rank 5th in the UK for hospitality, leisure and tourism programs. This is also where we see things like fashion and marketing and multimedia journalism, as well as our social sciences programs. And on the right-hand side of the screen there, you have an idea of some of the connections that we have to industry, and obviously with some big names coming through there, and particularly big names within the United Kingdom, but Santander Bank, Warner Brothers are some of those that are more international. Now, GCU is probably the only business school that also has sewing machines as part of its sort of facilities to be able to offer students. And the reason is that, again, when we talk about industry-ready students, a lot of students who work within the fashion industry go into the business element of fashion. So that could be buying, retailing, purchasing. And the aim of the university is really to bring these majors together and offer multi or cross-disciplinary teaching to ensure that when a student graduates, they have a breadth of skills that helps them seek further employment post-graduation. For a lot of students, if you are going into a more creative program, something like fashion or journalism, you may be obviously limiting your scope or your reach of your career options if you are doing a purely design-based subject. So by giving you additional education in, say, accounting, finance, budgeting, even legal information to do with the industry, these are all things that will serve you in terms of helping making you more employable across various different industries. So to spotlight a couple of programs, let me introduce you quickly to our MBA program, or our Masters of Business Administration. And this is a program that's been designed by the university's commitment, as we said, to the common good, and actually serves the UN principles for responsible management education. So this looks at things like sustainability within business, supply chain within business, reducing impact on the environment, reducing impact on poverty or slavery, modern slavery. So for anybody who is really interested in a program that also has underpinnings of social justice, this is a very strong option for you. It's a distinctive MBA program that covers a number of different areas and is intended for sort of professional managers who are looking perhaps to go on to that socially responsible element of business. You see some of the areas that we cover here. So things like scenario planning for what they call Black Swan events. A Black Swan event is sort of what we're in now, a COVID-19 situation, where it really is an event that sort of knocked out huge parts of the world and the economy for a fairly uncontrollable event in terms of individual businesses. You also look at crisis leadership and business continuity in uncertain times. So lots of planning for change and lots of anticipation for needing to pivot within a business scenario. If you are to undertake the MBA program in London, so our second campus is in London, and I will be sharing more information with you as we get further into the slides. You could also choose to take a specialist MBA in public health or a specialist MBA in insurance. And those are dictated by the classes that you would take as part of your year of study. It is important to note that this is a career-ready MBA. So for students with a business degree, we do not require any working experience. For those who are maybe coming from a different major, we would usually be seeking around 2 years of professional experience within a business setting. I also wanted to highlight the Marketing MSc. So MSc is the Master of Science program, and the Masters of Science in Marketing at GCU really focuses on digital technologies and their impact upon marketing and the international marketplace. So this is a program that provides students with affiliated membership to the CIM, or the Chartered Institute of Marketing. That is an external body here in the UK that accredits marketing qualifications and also gives students access to things like CPD, continued professional development, as well as opportunities for networking and sort of job opportunities as well. So that is an important kind of membership to have for a student. It also means that students can start to work towards chartered CIM membership as part of their degree. So some of their classes that they take may be able to count towards their chartered membership. Some of the skills that you would be looking to cover are highlighted here. So things in terms of exploring the role of branding, looking at applying your marketing knowledge to strategic, innovative and creative decision making. And you will also be looking to study realistic marketing situations and problems, but within an international context. It is important as an international applicant to look at how internationalized the curriculum is. If you are studying a marketing or a business degree based in a different country, be that the UK, the US, one of the things that could be slightly challenging for you as an international student is being able to apply those scenarios or your learning when you return home or you go off to work in a different country. So one of the things you may want to look at is how internationalized the curriculum is, meaning the scenarios and the problem solving that you will be doing in the classroom could be applied to a number of different ways or functions of doing business, not just applicable within a UK or a Scottish context. This is one of the programs that offers students opportunities to take the course as a 2-year option. So a standard marketing program or a standard MSc degree in the UK would be 1 year in duration, 12 months. But students could opt into a 24-month program. That means in the 2nd year of their course, they will undertake a professional placement over 2 trimesters. So that's ultimately the majority of their 2nd year would be spent doing an internship or a working experience placement to give them real life skills upon graduation. Again, this can be advantageous not only in terms of networking, but also that the opportunities that it offers you both to seek employment in the United Kingdom, but also to be able to give real life examples if you went to a job interview once you return home. In terms of our engineering and sort of structural schools, this is where we have programs to do with computer networking and digital security, digital media and design, our audio system engineering programs, as well as some of our software, games and interactive entertainment programs. We're not going to spotlight too many of these at this stage. However, I would be happy to share additional information if there are questions at the end about any of these types of courses. We also have our School of Health and Life Sciences, and this is where we see housed programs such as psychology, nutrition and dietetics, nursing and public health, physiotherapy, pharmacology, podiatry and social work. So podiatry in the UK has a very strong ranking. That is the study of feet, for anyone who's not sure what podiatry is. So for anyone who wants to become a foot doctor, not a chiropodist, but an actual podiatrist, we are ranked 2nd in the United Kingdom. And social work and forensic sciences are ranked 8th. In the background of the image that you have on the screen, these are actually facilities on the university campus. So I'm not going to lie, if you do go into these medical facilities, it's not somewhere where I'd want to be at night, because these mannequins that you see in the bed are extremely realistic. We have mannequins of adults, teenagers, toddlers, so 3 to 7-year-olds and babies. So a lot of our programs will cover all ranges of ages in terms of health education, and they're extremely realistic in terms of what they can do. So some of these mannequins can actually be programmed to open their eyes, they can make noises, you can practice taking blood from them. So they're very realistic as they can be while still being simulation. To spotlight a couple of programs here, we have the MPH program, or the Masters in Public Health. And this is obviously really growing in terms of its significance around the world, not only to do with things sort of like COVID-19, but also things to do with aging populations. And really pulling together how we better serve the public through education, research and services. So MPH programs tend to look at using data to help governments or health organizations make informed decisions about how we may be shaping the future care of our populations. So you will be covering things to do with understanding health inequalities and the social detriments that has on health. So looking at things like food ghettos, so people that do not have access to a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables, what impact does that have on their health, and what kind of problems does that come with in terms of both disease, for example, diabetes, but also potentially mental health in terms of child development also. You will be able to use data to help make those informed decisions. And the idea is that you will be able to help develop and implement public health and policy strategies. For these programs, we are usually seeking students with a relevant background. So that may include medicine, nursing, dentistry, allied health. So that would be physiotherapy, for example, microbiology or chemistry. And this program can be taken both in Scotland, but also at our London campus as well. And the final program I'll spotlight within this School of Study is the Sports and Exercise Science Psychology. This is a DPsych, so this is a doctorate of psychology. It is a 3-year program. So this is a really sort of up and coming area of study in terms of psychology. So sports and exercise psychology really looks at dealing with professional athletes, Olympic sports competitors, but also increasing physical activity amongst the general public. So it really is a program that spans all areas of kind of sports and exercise. Students will need to come into this degree already holding a first degree in psychology that has to be deemed equivalent to British Psychological Society or BPS standards. So we would be able to advise when you are making your application if you meet those requirements. And students would obviously then graduate formulating the basis for graduate chartership, which would allow them to go on to work in the relevant fields. We do have an alternative program for students who maybe don't want a 3-year option. So we do have the MSc in Forensic Psychology. Again, that does require students to have a relevant background in psychology, but it is just 1 year in duration. Obviously, as we said at the beginning of the presentation, the City of Glasgow has a strong kind of attachment to sports, and really you're starting to see that come through in a lot of the educational programs that we are being able to deliver on campus. So this is the campus. I promise there are people on it. A lot of these pictures are just taken at night when you get that beautiful light that's coming in. So just in terms of the campus facilities, you have the student gym, you have a Santander bank, so very easy if it's an international student to open a bank account right there on campus. You have the Salter Centre, and that is really housing a lot of your career services, your student support, a faith and beliefs centre, and then your student association as well, which houses your clubs, sports teams and student organisations. As I said, it is a city centre campus, but it does have a campus feel about it. So this is the university campus, sort of as taken from the air. And if you can see where A and B are marked along the front of the diagram there, that is actually the city centre. So if you were stood where the letter A or the letter B are on this map, you would be looking to the shopping district of the city and also the central bus station. If you're to enter the university by any of the B channels, they are going to take you to the main teaching areas. So as you can see, number 11, that is the library, the Sir Alex Ferguson Library that we noted before. If you can see building 8, just to the left-hand side of building 11, that is where we house a number of our business programs. And over in building 10 is where we have a number of our fashion programs. Buildings 15, 14 and 13 are our medical facilities. So this is where we have a lot of those simulated medical teaching operations, as you saw. And building number 4 that you can see at the forefront of that picture there, that is going to be your student gym as well as your career advising centre. So all in all, if you were to walk from one side of campus to the other side, it would be approximately 10 to 15 minutes. So despite it being in the heart of one of the UK's busiest cities, it feels very homely and welcoming to students from any background, but particularly to a student who is making this their home away from home when arriving from overseas. So I want to introduce you now to our London campus. You have a picture of the London campus over to the side of the slide there. And this used to be kind of a textiles facility. So it still has that industrial feel and very strong links to fashion. For anyone who is familiar with London, the building here is based just in zone 1 of London. So that is the central zone, the heart of the city, but it's over to the east. And the east is really known for sort of its fashion, photography, live music. And so this is a great place to be a student. This is the entire London campus, so it is a much smaller operation than Glasgow. Glasgow is about 20,000 students. Here in London, the community is just 300. It is an entirely postgraduate teaching facility, and the building that you see here is the campus itself. So it is a much smaller operation. It does have a roof terrace, which is where we have graduation. And obviously the advantage of being in central London is that we can offer those links to a number of different industries, as well as host a strong program of guest lecturers who actually come to campus to speak. The campus here is home to 14 specialised master's programmes, and here again the university's link to industry will become very prevalent. It's also home to the British School of Leadership and Management, as well as the British School of Fashion. So some of their areas of specialisation are being highlighted up at the top there: diplomacy in the digital state, finance and risk, again that public health programme, so you can take that on either campus. And some of their flagship courses at the campus in London are the MBA in Luxury Brand Management and the MSc, Master of Science, in Luxury Brand Marketing. So the Luxury Brand Management Programme was actually the first of its kind within the United Kingdom to be developed, and is still one of the flagship programmes to GCU in London. Luxury brand management does not only apply to clothing. Luxury branding could be anything from hotel chains, holiday companies, watches, cars. So there's a number of things that are covered by luxury branding. And obviously this is an extremely affluent and also growing area of the fashion industry. The British School of Leadership and Management houses these programs here. So a lot to do with business, but also, as we said, things to do with diplomacy, diplomacy in the state, as well as security and diplomacy, particularly looking at the digital age and how we keep people's data and information safe whilst operating in a digitally connected world. In terms of the British School of Fashion, these are not all of their programs, but just some of them, as we talked about. And to spotlight some of them, we have the MSc in Fashion Business Creation. So this is actually a program that we've seen be fairly popular amongst students from sort of Latin America. And this is a distinctive program that collaborates fashion industry leaders to bring together unique insights to the market to the student body. In terms of what you would be studying, you look at sort of an anatomy of the fashion business. You examine processes and actions associated with strategy and development for new and existing fashion businesses. You might complete an industry internship, a consultation project to help you gain greater insight into the kind of the industry that you're looking to enter. What is worth noting, if you are familiar with the UK high street brand Marks and Spencer's, they have one of their buying laboratories actually on this campus. So that means every season, the new stock will come to campus. And one of the lecturers who teaches on the program is actually a contracted buyer for Marks and Spencer's. So she will work with her students to look through the samples that have been sent and actually make decisions based upon some of these skills here to decide what would be demonstrated or sold within the fashion high street stores. When we talk about fashion business creation, this is using both existing companies, but also insights of international fashion brands using data analytics to help you create your own brand proposition. So a lot of luxury fashion, if we think of luxury fashion as an industry, is predominantly centered in Europe. So a lot of the big fashion houses are European, but obviously we're seeing that rapidly expanding. You're seeing luxury brands and big fashion houses develop in places like China, Dubai, even India. So there's an ability to kind of compare those fashion brands of a luxury standard or an international standard and ask strategic questions about how you as a graduate could develop that brand or develop a more local brand and obviously elevate it to that kind of international fashion scene. The guest lecture series in 2019 and 20 included people from the Arcadia Group, Aston Martin. So as I was saying, when we talk about luxury brands, it's not just about fashion, cars, vehicles, hotels, etc. Selfridges and also Storm Model Management, as well as FHM Magazine. And right at the front of the slide here, this is actually Henry Holland. If anyone is familiar with the designer Henry Holland, this is him. He did come to deliver some lectures on the university campus in London. And this here is Jo Malone. So anyone that has the Jo Malone perfume, again, lecture series coming from some of the leading industry professionals in sort of the fashion, but also related industries. In terms of some of your general requirements for admission, and these apply across both campuses, we are usually looking for equivalent of a 2-2 honours degree. So that's approximately a 2.5 to a 3 out of 4, or if you're using a 4 GPA scale. We are usually looking for a 6 in IELTS with no band lower than a 5.5. And you do have on the screen, these are actually links that will take you to the university website. So you can see specific requirements for your country, and you can also look at other English language tests that are accepted by the university. Running along the slide here, you have some of the images. So on the very right hand, this is GCU London, and the two left images are the main campus. But again, as we said at the beginning, one of GCU's commitments is that link to industry, and a lot of the facilities and the way that we teach bring that industry relevant technology actually into the classroom. In terms of your fees and funding, for your Glasgow campus, you're looking at around £12,980. That's for your tuition fees. It's worth noting that postgraduate housing isn't provided on campus, but there are a number of university recommended off-campus housing facilities. And again, they're linked here in the presentation. Your average cost per month of rental, so that's without your bills, but just your standard rental charge within Scotland is around £250 per month. To give you an idea, I personally live here in London and my rent is approximately £1,000 per month. So you are living in a much lower cost of living area if you choose to study on our Glasgow campus. We do have a number of scholarships available, and they are down at the bottom of the screen there. So we do have postgraduate scholarships between 1,600 and 1,000. We have a 5% early payment discount. And we do also have a number of graduate ambassador scholarships, so we offer full fees to students who apply to those. So obviously those are more competitive and require separate applications. But the early payment discount and the postgraduate options, those are offered to pretty much all students that make an application subject to you meeting the criteria. In terms of your programs in London, one of the advantages between the London campus and the Glasgow campus is that you pay the same tuition fee. So the MBA on both campuses is £14,500. The standard taught MSc programs are £12,980. And the only course that does come with that slightly higher price tag is the luxury brand management program at £17,300. And that's because that's that flagship program for the university. The advantage of the London campus in terms of tuition fees is usually you would expect a London campus to have a far higher price tag. If you look at the MBA program offered at GCU, A comparable MBA program at somewhere like King's or LSE is likely to cost you in the range of £25,000 to £35,000 for that 1 year. So it's a considerable saving because of the price match between the two campuses, but you still have all the advantages of being in that large cosmopolitan city and the connections that offers to industry. You are going to see your prices go up slightly in terms of accommodation. So again, in London, we don't have any accommodation that we own, but we do recommend Urban Nest. They are a student accommodation company. And as you can see here, the prices start at either £324 per week. Now that is for your own room with your own bathroom, and it does include your bills. Or we have an option that's a little bit further away, but still within walking distance of the campus. And that comes in at £269 per week. That's for a twin studio, so a private bedroom, but you would share a mini kitchen and a mini bathroom with one other student. But that does also include your bills as well. So just if you are looking back over this presentation, worth noting that our price in Glasgow is per month and our prices here in London are per week. So you would need to times this number by 4 to get your monthly comparison. To conclude the presentation, I also wanted to introduce you to our New York offering. So recently we expanded into the US, and we are now opening and recruiting to Glasgow Caledonian's New York College. So we are based right in downtown Manhattan. The campus is located in an old art gallery in Soho. So a great location for international students, but also a great location to be connected to industry. The programs that we're offering in New York are listed on the screen there. So fashion marketing, risk resilience and integrity management, and impact focused business investing. What makes these courses different to courses that are offered at other US universities is that this is taught on a UK structure. So a UK master's program is by standard a 12-month program, and these courses, even though they're delivered in the United States and accredited by the New York State of Regents in terms of your certification, these are actually delivered on a UK model. So it is a 12-month fixed schedule of classes that you would be taking. And so obviously, although your cost of tuition and housing is slightly higher to be based in New York, you would need to fund that for just 12 months as opposed to a standard US degree at graduate level, which would be 2 academic years. Again, just like the kind of the home campus, everything at GC NYC is aimed to underpin the UN's 17 sustainability goals. So you have those here on the screen. And for you, if you are looking to apply for a master's program and you're thinking particularly in the kind of the COVID environment, but even just in terms of gender equality, clean sanitation, ending poverty, zero hunger, these are probably issues that we all care about to a certain extent in our daily lives. The aim of Glasgow Caledonian University, be that Glasgow, London or New York, is really to produce graduates that keep these sustainability goals in mind and actually graduate with a bit more of an ethical approach to the way that they might be going into the world of work. So everything that they aim to teach is underpinned by these goals and also is aimed to produce graduates who not only are extremely employable in terms of their chosen field, or employable across multi-disciplines because they have that interdisciplinary style of teaching, but also graduates that are aware of the world around them and want to give back to their local communities, be that through a program like MPH, Masters of Public Health, be that through a program that looks about sustainable fashion development practices or ending gender equality in terms of the way that we're working in the world of business. So if you do have that kind of ambition to serve the common good, this is a great location for you. As we said, we have a number of different teaching styles and facilities to be able to offer across the 3 campuses. And we would be very happy to take any questions that you have now, any questions that you might have after today's session. We'd be happy to have them sent through to us through the office that are organising today's wonderful event and bringing you all together, connecting you to me here in the UK and also me to you in your home cities. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming along to today's session, and we really do hope to welcome you to the University of the Common Good sometime shortly in the future. So I have stopped sharing my screen with you now. I wonder if there are any questions that anybody would like to ask, or perhaps if I could ask Hugo to take over, maybe direct the questions, or let people know how they can get in touch with you to find out more information.
I think it would be really helpful for our students to consider all this information. And I want to ask the students that they can write to us. You can see, for example, in the screen, there is our WhatsApp number and our email address. I will ask the students that are interested in our guide that can write us and schedule a meeting, so we can help them to explain which options do they have. For example, as Helen said, there are many interesting postgraduate programs that we can offer. And I would ask the students to follow us also in Facebook. We will have each week a different presentation. We will have different universities. For example, next week we will be with Stirling University. So I want to invite everybody to give us a like in Facebook and follow the presentations. And Helen, I think we have no questions by now, but I think the people will be contacting us. And
sure, of course. And I just wanted to, again, extend our thanks to Global Studies for organising today's event and for connecting us to yourselves. And just to explain a little bit about our relationship, obviously being based in the UK, it's very hard for us to be everywhere. And so we do rely on the excellent services of colleagues such as Hugo, who can help you in your local time zone, your local language, help to answer the questions that your families might have. We know that investing in overseas education is not only a big decision in terms of you and your future career, but also in terms of the finances that requires. And so we really want to ensure that you have the best advising services available to you in a time zone and a language that you need them in. So it's just to really stress that there is no difference to applying directly through us or applying through Global Studies, but we would certainly recommend that you look to use their services, particularly for your applications, but also just for that reassurance that they've helped a number of students do what you're looking to do before you, and so that they really do have that experience to be able to share with you and those kind of services that they can offer. So I do encourage you to make a follow-up appointment. It doesn't have to be to talk about GCU. Stirling is a great university as well, also in Scotland, one of our neighbours, but we would strongly encourage you to go ahead and make that appointment and really get yourself connected to the advice that you need to make that informed decision about overseas study.
Yes, thank you, Helen. Thank you, Helen, for your time. And we'll be ready to guide all the people that would be contacting us. As you see, we can offer you different destinations in Europe, USA. So please contact us if you have questions. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.